Hey guys. Okay, so in September of 24, I walked away from a company I had helped build for more than a decade. I was employee number four behind the CEO, the CTO, the CFO, and me. I had poured my heart, my energy, my identity into it. And from the outside, it made no sense. But from the inside, I knew I couldn't stay. Welcome back to Carrie. It's not that serious. Today, I want to tell you about the year that rearranged my life. Not because everything collapsed, but because I finally stopped collapsing myself. For over 10 years, I was deeply embedded into this company that I helped grow and build from the ground up, from scratch. I wasn't just an employee, I was infrastructure. I was the face of the company. Clients trusted me, the industry knew me. My reputation was intertwined with the brand. And for a long time, I loved it. I thrived in high performance mode. I was always available, always producing, always pushing, traveling all over the place, which I also loved, but just always available. Crazy hours. And like many high achieving women, I was praised for it. But praise doesn't protect you from burnout, right? While everything looked strong professionally, I was unraveling personally. Like my health started deteriorating, stress became normal, sleep became optional and very little, by the way. And I hit a breaking point, including but not limited to a major health scare. I'd had other health scares in the past. But this one was really specific and it forced me to confront something I had been ignoring. I had built success at the expense of myself, and more importantly, at the expense of being fully present for my daughter, for friends. The realization hit harder of that than any business decision ever could. It just hit me like a ton of bricks. So around that same time, the leadership dynamic shifted. So I'm feeling all this. My health is going south. A new CEO comes in. Energy totally changes. Like what we had been building for so long. This happens all the time in corporate, but the energy changed. I kept showing up because that's what I do. But somewhere in there, I realized I was disappearing. Not dramatically, but quietly. And disappearing quietly is harder to detect until you look up and you're like, who am I? Where am I? What am I doing with my life? WTF. Like over and over. So when I finally resigned and made the decision, I made it internally. Like I was waffling back and forth for some time. But when I finally made the decision, people were shocked. I was shocked. I was shocked. Like, who was I without this? Like, right? My identity had become so wrapped up in my title, my reputation, my visibility. Walking away felt like literally stepping off a cliff, like 100%. And the questions came fast, like, who am I without this role? Do I have value? What do I offer outside of performance? Like, am I still valuable if I'm not the face of something powerful? If I'm not the face of the company, like, do I matter? Those questions, they don't get answered overnight, and also they're terrifying. But one answer became clear was that I needed to choose the whole version of myself, not just the executive, not just the achiever, not just this like business thing I had created and become fucking beast, if you don't mind me saying. But the human, the mother, the woman, like where was that person? She was taking a nap was what she was doing. She was like out of there. I don't even know where she was at. But before committing to another role, I took a pause, not to escape, to fully reset. I needed to address my health, including surgery. So it wasn't like it was just like, oh gosh, I need to sleep more. It was the whole thing. I had to have surgery and it was just, there was a health scare and all that. So there was that. I needed to slow down my nervous system. I needed to check on my daughter and I was an empty nester at this point. So my daughter was out of the house. She wasn't in the house with me, but I needed to check on her, spend time with her. Like, I was always like gallivanting around the globe and, always busy, busy, busy. Oh, I've got a meeting. Oh, I got a meeting. And that's my personality. I'm a hard worker. So, I needed to actually stop myself in order to do that. So I took a break. I flew to Pennsylvania and visited one of my earliest mentors. Hey, Brian and Jenny. I went to visit him and his wife at their lake house, which is gorgeous. Oh my God, they remodeled this amazing house and they have this amazing place on the lake. And yes, I will be coming back to visit you guys. Yes, like I need to get my butt out there again. So much fun right outside of Pittsburgh. But anyway, we had long dinners, we had deep conversations, we laughed, we were silly, we had some cocktails, we got on the boat. We just gave myself space to breathe, really. And then after that, I went to Florida and I stayed for a week with my daughter. We stayed at this place at a Marriott near Disney. And shout out to Marriott Bonvoy. Hello. Whoop, whoop. We floated in the lazy river. We played like giant oversized board games on the grounds and watched laser light shows. We went down some ginormous water slides, which I can't even believe I did. But yes, I did. I didn't do the super scary ones, but I did do it. We binge watched Emily in Paris on Netflix. Like, by the way, super cute. It's like the next generation of Sex and the City, if you will, for anybody that hasn't watched it. It's a really fun show. Really fun for mothers and daughters to watch together or girlfriends to watch together. Highly recommend. We painted crafts. We had dessert in bed, room service in bed. We went and saw, this was about the time that Beetlejuice 2 was out, which, by the way, they did an awesome job with. That was so good. But I didn't have any notifications. No emergencies. No text messages. No Zoom calls. No Teams calls. No dramatic, what's happening with this order? No, what is this client doing? Just presence in the moment. Like the first time in a decade, my phone's not blowing up out of control. And that presence, I feel like it healed something in both of us. Like for the first time in a long time, we were just like there together, just being, which I can't even tell you the last time I did that, right? It just felt safe, felt connected. So after Florida, I also flew to Europe alone. I needed to do this for myself. I just needed to go on a trip without my laptop, without my phone. I had my phone because, girl had to make a TikTok or two, but it wasn't work calling. It wasn't my constantly needing to be on my laptop so I can get through the 300 emails that came in that day. I flew to Europe alone. I was in Italy and just bouncing around Florence, and it wasn't indulgent. It was a little bit indulgent sometimes, but it was intentional. Every airport, every hotel room, every walk, every glass of wine, every dinner, every conversation with a stranger. It was an act of like reclaiming my life, really. And that trip reminded me that I am more than my resume. I'm more than my LinkedIn bio. By the way, if you haven't connected with me on LinkedIn, please do. I can't help it. More than my industry identity. Just, it was freedom. It was freedom, you guys. It was letting go of all I'm supposed to be and letting go of what everyone expects me to be, right? I'm a woman of agency. I don't need permission to redesign my life. If I want to change my career or I want to work for another company or build my own, hell yeah, let's go. Let's fucking go, right? So, what most people didn't know is that during this entire season, so before I even resigned at the beginning of 2024, I got my LLC for my company. And I was just silently creating and thinking of this company. And I had started to silently build it. And so even when I was in my comfortable executive role, I had been building this thing, which was ended up becoming, it's not that serious, but I was building it in silence. There was nothing dramatic, no big reveal. I was just building, building, building. And I wasn't sharing it with anyone because I didn't want anyone to bring me down. I didn't want anyone to disrupt the vision I saw in my head of this. So it was just really slow, intentional creation. And after my break, I came back and I accepted another executive role, and my intention was simple. I was going to lead there for years and build my company on the side. Like I was going to do them both. I was going to keep both worlds balanced and just do them side by side for as long as I needed to, years. I don't know. I didn't have a year date in mind. I just knew I was going to do them side by side together. And then something totally unexpected happened. My company I was in went through a ton of changes and dramatically shifted what I thought I was walking into and what I actually was in the middle of were dramatically different. But even bigger than that, when I officially launched It's Not That Serious in September of 25, the response was immediate. It was so positive and so uplifting. And I knew in my heart of hearts, I knew that lifting these women's stories, and I knew that this community, this safe space for women, I knew it was needed. I knew it deep in my heart. But I assumed that, it was going to take time to build, and that's why I was going to need to stay in my executive role and da 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 da. But it was so positive and uplifting. It was amazing. Women reached out, partners leaned in. The energy was just like on fire. It was like being on top of the world. And at the same time, in this corporate environment I was in, it was unraveling internally. It was disorganized, super negative, draining. It felt so like this world felt so heavy. And this other world I was building and had created felt alive. It felt so positive and alive. And the contrast couldn't have been farther apart, but also became impossible to ignore. Impossible. So I thought about it. I prepared my team. I made sure my team was privy to all the follow-up emails, all the work I had been doing, all the things I was building. And I just made sure they were prepared. And then I sent my resignation moment in, my email in. And that was it. It was like just pure clarity. When one space drains you and another lights you up, there's like no choice. Like you have to move. You have to make the move. So it was data, right? I'm a data nerd. Like I'd spent years building other companies. It was time to build mine fully, not cautiously, not partially, but fully. But I'll tell you, like letting go of the corporate was so stressful, but it wasn't reckless. It was fully aligned with who I am and what I want to put my energy into and what I am so excited to be a part of and to be building. Period. But what that year taught me, burnout is not a badge of honor. Okay, ladies, let me just say that again. Burnout is not a badge of honor. Sometimes we're doing all the things and it's like that we feel like we need to get to that space to really like prove we've done something, but your presence matters more than whatever prestige has come from all that burnout. Your identity is allowed to evolve. And this is something that I think keeps people stuck in fear of like, not only like, who am I if I'm not that thing I just built, but can I do that? Like, am I allowed to pivot so hard? People are like, whoa, what are you doing? Like, if they can't follow the path, does it mean you can't do it? No, hell no. And success that costs you your peace is not success. It's not. Most importantly, I need y'all to hear this. I need you to hear this because I think so many times we get frozen in our tracks by fear. Fear of failure, but fear of everything. Like, again, what we've created, this persona we've built. You can walk away from something impressive without walking away from your power. So like a lot of corporate girlies will get this 100%, but like you spend your career clawing your way to the top, right? You get to the top and you decide or you figure out that you want more, you need more, right? Like, or this thing that you've clawed your way to at the top isn't what you thought it was, right? And so now, you're like, holy shit, I built this whole thing. How could I walk away? Like, I'm at the top. How could I possibly walk away? This is so impressive. Who would do that? Like, but you can. And it's not walking away from your power. It's actually displaying real power within yourself. So if you're in a season where something feels misaligned, if you're questioning a role that once fit but now doesn't, if you're wondering whether it's selfish to choose yourself, it is not. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is redesign your life before it redesigns you, right? I mean, you're allowed to change, you're allowed to pivot, you're allowed to change your mind to get more aligned with who you want to be or who you're becoming. Next week, we're going to talk about why women's stories matter and how all my whips became the heartbeat of everything I'm building. I am so excited to talk about my whips. So until then, choose presence, choose alignment, choose the whole version of yourself. And remember, it's not that serious. That's a wrap on today's episode of Carrie, It's Not That Serious. If this conversation resonated, subscribe and share it with a whip, a woman in power in your life. You can find more conversations, more community, and all the fun INTS merch you love at itsnotthatserious.com. We're building something meaningful here, and I'm so glad you're a part of it. Until next time, remember, it's not that serious.